today's session we will be discussing about how to write a C++ program that can find the distance between 2 points in 2D space and 3D space using function overloading concept. So as we all know that we can find out the distance between 2 points using a simple formula. Let me show the formula to you. So here for finding out the distance between 2 points, say for example I am having 2 points in a 2D space. So in a two-dimensional space, the point will be represented using two coordinates as x and y. So for point 1, let me call it as x1 and y1. Similarly, for the second point, the coordinates I can take it as x2 and y2. So if these are the variables, then the distance between the 2 points is calculated as square root of x square root of x2 minus x1 the whole bracket square plus y2 minus y1 the square of the bracket. Okay, so square root, under the square root entire two brackets are there, x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. And similarly for the three-dimensional space, the same formula is used. Only thing is that instead of x1 and y1, every point is going to have three coordinates, that will be x, y and z. So let us go to the program part of this. Now for this function overloading concept, we have already discussed in our previous sessions that function overloading means it is the concept where you have the name of the function which is the same, but the parameters can be different. So in this particular example, we are not going to make use of a class. We can also directly make use of the function overloading concept without using a class. So first we will discuss about this. I have taken two functions over here. The name of the function is same, that is distance. Both the functions are going to return the answer of the distance between the 2 points, hence the return type will be float. For the first function, I have passed 4 variables. So this one will be for x1, y1 and x2 and y2. So as I am having 2 points in two-dimensional space, so it is going to have 4 data points. Similarly, for the second distance function, I have passed 6 variables of float data type. The reason is it will be having x, y, z for the first point and the next x, y, z for the second point. Now let us go to the main function part. So as we need to read the 2 points in two-dimensional space first, we will declare those variables. So I have declared 4 variables here as x1, x2, y1, y2. Also to calculate the answer of the distance, I am taking a variable called as distance1. Now first I have printed a message as 2D distance. Then I have printed a message to read the value of the first point. For first point, we are going to read 2 values. One will be x1 and another will be y1. Similarly, the same 4 lines of code we can copy paste for the second point. The only difference will be we will be reading the values for x2 and y2. Now this is the part where you are reading the data for your points in the two-dimensional space. Similarly, I also want to read the data for the points in three-dimensional space. So next I am declaring 6 variables for it, that is x1, x2, y1, y2, z1 and z2. Okay. And for calculating the distance between these three-dimensional space points, I am taking one more variable called as distance2. Now for the 3D distance, you need to read the data for the points. So first one is enter the value of the first point, wherein we are reading the values of x1, y1, z1. Similarly, for the second part, I will be reading the value of second point, that is x2, y2 and z2. Now to calculate the distance of the points, as we need to use the formula of square root and power, these are the two functions which we are going to use, and they are present in the library file of math.h. So we have included over here, as we have to include IOStream, similar manner, we have also included the file maths.h. Now coming down for calculation of the distance, here we will be calling the first function. So first I am displaying the values of the points. So P1 point in two-dimensional space, the value is displayed. Similarly, the value for P2, that is the second point, is displayed. And to calculate the distance, I am calling the function distance. So the function name is same, so I am calling the same function, but to this I am passing the 4 parameters as x1, y1, x2, y2. and this will be returning me an answer which I am storing in the variable distance1. So after catching the distance answer, I am displaying it as the distance between P1 and P2. Now for the 3D distance, again I am displaying the values for the points P1 and P2, that is I am displaying their x, y and z values, and then I am calling the distance function again, but this time for 3-dimensional space I am passing the values of 3 variables, that is x1, y1, z1 and x2, y2, z2. It will be returning me the answer of the distance between the 2 points in 3-dimensional space which I have stored in the variable distance2, and then I am just displaying that particular variable. So this is the flow of our program. Now we go to writing of our functions. So for writing the function, our first function is the one which is having 4 variables as x1, y1 and x2, y2. First we create a variable called distance which is initialized to 0. Then we need to calculate the square root of x2 minus x1 square. So here you can see that this is the part which calculates x2 minus x1 the whole bracket square, and for that I have used the power function. Similarly, you need to calculate the power of y2 minus y1, whatever the answer comes out, that square. And for this entire part, you need to find the square root. So we have placed this inside the square root function. So this is your formula for calculating the distance between 2 points in a 2-dimensional space. Once the distance variable gets the answer, it is returned back to your main function. And same function you can copy paste. The only difference is now instead of 4 variables, it is going to have 6 variables, and for the same formula, only the thing that you have to add is power of z2 minus z1 the bracket square, and then you will be returning the distance, and it will be storing the value of the distance in your distance2 variable which you have displayed in the main function. So this is how you can overload the function for calculating the distance between 2 points. Let us execute this program and check whether we are getting the correct output. Okay, so first I get the value of the first point. Let me enter it as 99, y1 as 88, x2 as 77 and y2 as 44. So 2D for the points in 2-dimensional space we have entered the values. Now we will enter the value for the positions in 3-dimensional space. So let me enter the values as x1 is equal to say for example 9, x2 is 2, y1 is 2 and z1 is 8. Similarly 7, 6 and 4. Okay. So here you can find out that the distance between P1 and P2 in 2-dimensional space is 49.19, whereas the distance between them in 3-dimensional space is 6. So this is how you can calculate the distance between 2 points in 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional space using the concept of function overloading present in C++.